Hey guys, Brendan from TAT here. Just a quick review today. So I've had some time to play around with Snap-on's latest in the best-selling SOLUS range, the SOLUS Plus. So I've got a customer's car in for diagnosis today, a Peugeot 308. So I thought, what better way to show off some of the features of the Snap-on SOLUS Plus than a French vehicle? Notoriously difficult for a lot of scan tools to communicate, navigate around, get what you want to do. So we're going to go into the engine. This one is having an intermittent stalling issue. Nice and easy to navigate. So let's go through a few of the things why this is generally my first grab, the Snap-on tool. So codes, sure, we can go in like most Euros, it's going to have a lot of codes. If we click on these, so we can go into this Sure Track Real Fix area. So obviously there I've chosen a glow plug related code. Makes sense that the most common things to replace are the glow plugs or the glow plug relay or module. That is helpful in itself. Sometimes the code will only relate to, say, a module or only to the glow plug. So now we know that people have fixed it by both. It then goes into a little bit of detail of the glow plug side of things. So, you know, what they did, it might jog your thought process to think, okay, what should I go test, and have you heading in the right direction. And then going into the real fixes, a similar thing where they'll run through, you know, what they did. And it doesn't mean you're going to go replace that. Why I like it is because it runs through the process and you can go, okay, I'm going to head there. And quite often you're going to even have some specs in there of what you're looking for. So handy just from the get-go from the codes. But I think the star of the show is the data section, and that's why the Snap-on is my first grab. So lots of things to show in here that make it different to other other scan tool manufacturers. So you can see I've been in here previously today because I've got a custom list there. That I find is absolutely awesome. So what that is, as most manufacturers are starting to do, they're grouping the data into different sections. So this is not a Snap-on thing. I've had this vehicle connected to other tools today, and it looks to be a Peugeot thing where they are putting them in groups. That's all well and good. We can go in, we can see our fuel circuit stuff. That's great. Thanks for grouping it all together for me. But what if I want to go look at, say, EGR at the same time, right? I struggle to put them in the same data trace. Not on the Snap-on though. So I'm able to go and grab by pressing the select PIDs. I'm able to go into any of those groups and I'm able to put them together. So it gives me access to the fuel side of things. I can go and say choose which ones I want. I can go and take some out of the air, and you get the idea. I'm allowed to do whatever I want. So if I head back, previously I'd already done that and I'd got my custom list. That's the second point, that I've gone off and done whatever. The code had to get cleared. I need to get back in, do the same test. I'm not re-choosing my PIDs again. So I'm able to go back, and these are the ones that I'd chosen before. That's really, really handy. Other things, so if we run through some of the menus up the top here, so let's turbo pressure measured in inches of mercury. When was the last time you ever did that for a boost gauge, right? So often you can come up here and we're actually able to change the unit of measurement to something that's a bit more useful, I would say. So that's quite handy sometimes with the odd values that manufacturers want to put in there. So graphing is where this thing really shines. So we can bring up our graphs here, and it's really just doing the simple things well, right? So if we take something useful like, say, measured fuel pressure, very important if I'm having an intermittent stalling type situation. So I'm going to turn the car on now. We'll start her up, and even just basic things like having a min max there, right? So at the moment, obviously, because we've gone from startup, we've got, and I did see a little jump there, I felt something, so I'm going to press save. That's another nice thing while we're at it. This is always recording whatever PIDs you have on the screen, or if all these ones that are down here, it's recording anything that's sitting there. So I can go back and look at that, and we'll take a look. I did feel a little misfire, but that's not for today. So this measured pressure here, that was at 0 for startup, and we got to a max, a min max there. Now I can go to this clear button, and it's now going to take only the min-max from what I'm looking at since I cleared it. So I could sit here with my fuel pressure and it's going to show me if I have how much deviation I've got without me actually having to sit there. And you know, particularly if you aren't even in graphing mode and you're actually having to watch this as a value, this one not moving around too much, but quite often they'll jump quite quickly and it's hard to keep track. So I love just having a min-max, just doing the simple things well. And you can walk away, go do whatever, and we could come back, and if that's had a big jump, I would know, as opposed to say if measured airflow had or EGR, then I know I'm heading in that area, because right now I've got not much direction with this vehicle and it's a very intermittent fault. So other areas like that we can get into, the triggers and alarms. We're able to set our axis, so by zooming in and out, so lots of cool stuff to play around in here. Locking PIDs to the top of the screen, because you might say want to have engine speed sitting right next to fuel pressure, that kind of thing. And as you saw, being able to just save that, and I'm able to go back and review that, very, very handy. So there we go, guys, a little wrap up of the Snap-on SOLUS Plus. A couple of other features. So you'll notice when I was doing that Peugeot video, you can probably see the flash on my camera sort of showed up on the piano black here, whereas it doesn't affect the screen. So when I'm out in direct sunlight, the anti-glare screen works really, really well, and I can still see what I'm doing. Jumps between the menus really quickly, so the last thing you want is to be looking at a loading screen. I never feel like I'm waiting for this tool, so that's obviously a very handy feature. That video that I saved on the Peugeot, so I can now go back and I can look at that either on the tool itself. By going into previous vehicles and data, we can still scroll across, drop cursors on that movie that we've saved, or to take it to the next level, we can connect that into the PC and you get full use of the Snap-on ShopStream application, which I use quite often. So while this tool is very small and portable, which is great for day-to-day, sometimes you do want to get into something that may even be across two PC screens. You know, we want to drag lots of different PIDs around, move them to each other, drop other cursors. So we can go on there and we can supersize it if we really want to get into that nitty-gritty, which I kind of prefer, being able to have it as a portable little tool rather than lugging around something with a viewable screen like that, because honestly it's very easy to connect to the PC. You've also got your cloud-based application, so that requires nothing to hook up. Every time you take a full vehicle scan, every time you press the snapshot button, take a picture, that automatically, as long as you're hooked up to Wi-Fi, is going to upload to your cloud that you can quickly, 2 clicks, you're in there, you can get it, you can save it to the vehicle, you can send it to a customer, whatever you want to do. Other little things, so you'll notice the cable that it comes with, it does have, like many do now, a nice handy light. So once that's in and powered on the device, that's going to be able to help us look up under the dash, which I love. You'll notice that there's an E on this cable as well, because it is Ethernet enabled. So when you get into, say, your Volvos and some of those that are Ethernet, this cable will do that. There's nothing you have to do. We do have Ethernet connection. Also does over-the-air Wi-Fi updates. Little functions like that that just make your life easier. So overall, this is our first grab tool. There's not a day that goes by that it doesn't go through the hands of everyone in the workshop, and I'd say it's our biggest money maker too for that reason. You know, it's doing the quickest resets for just services, it's doing your steering angle resets, it's getting into your drivability before you want to step to an OE tool where you may have to get into some really deep stuff. There's really not much that we can't do with this as far as the, you know, by my count, it is the best still at graphing, and it's just doing those little things right is what I find sets it apart.